Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Final Fantasy I Randomizer Weekly Race. My name is Edgeworth, and I'm joined here by Romuluses. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Edge. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight, and I'm really looking forward to the race tonight.
Did I get your name right, by the way?
You can just call me Rom for short. Just trying to make everybody's life easier, but I failed with that name, so sorry about that.
No worries. So, looks like we have Fighter and Thief forced, and as far as the class distribution, we've got quite a few different choices here. Some double reds, white black, and red black. Out of these team comps, which one do you like the most?
It's always a bit tricky when you have Magic Shuffle. Normally I like to rely on a Black Mage for endgame just to make sure I can get a fast or a temper charge, but now that the items are all shuffled, all that strategy just goes right out the window.
It looks like we're about ready to start, just waiting for the stream to catch up here, and we're off. Files in the lead, and gets NPC blocked. Brack, Zap, and Comp, so we've got lots of instant death on the table, but a little bit unconventional. Out of those spells, which do you like?
I think I've seen the most effective use of Zap in recent tournaments. We'll get an AoE clear, which will be really handy, and the Brack strats have just been real recently, so I definitely pick that up and maybe hope you see Extra along the way for Chaos if you need it.
Yeah, I feel like as far as the instant death goes, Zap will carry you early and Brack will carry you late, so even though it's not the typical level 1 nuke that you're hoping for, usually pretty good up until the end game.
I just saw that it looks like Split Punch went and got the Sarda special from the King. What do you think of that tactic, going and just checking in to see what one Royal is going to give you in this flag set?
Well, I mean, if he picks up the cabin, he doesn't have to worry about buying one to save outside of Temple of Fiends, so I think it's a pretty good move.
Mic off.
Especially with the only save item being the house, might as well grab that cabin and make Temple of Fiends a lot safer.
Now, I didn't manage to catch anything that was in the white magic shop. Edge, did you see anything useful in there? Maybe a life or a cure or anything long-term viable?
I think I saw like a Pure and an Invis, so I don't think anybody picked anything up from that now. They may be going back for that later. And Demon Frog and Split Punch are probably hoping for good stuff at level 2, given that's where the Red Mage can learn all of the white magic spells.
Now, normally, at least with Zap and Brack, I'd feel pretty confident charging into the Temple of Fiends and, checking those 3 chests and just seeing what kind of stuff Garland is made out of. I don't know if going and checking Provoka is the right play, because you're going to have to go back and check Temple of Fiends at some point. Wouldn't you think, Edge?
This doesn't waste as much time. I mean, I like the Temple of Fiends play more, but this isn't as punishing simply because, and he finds Warp, which may make the Temple of Fiends check a little bit shorter. With the settings for this round or this week's flags, the ship will be vanilla. So as soon as he gets the ship from the pirates, the trip back is significantly shorter.
And unless the princess is really going to give us anything, like Demon Frog just finds the herb located up in the northwest room of Temple of Fiends, so that opens up a possibility to turn into the Elf Prince.
That's really good information to have, particularly if Split Punch decides to skip out on Temple of Fiends. He may be punished severely for that, depending on what the Elf Prince has. He will get his ship, though. And some nice experience from the pirates. In the item shop, we have cheap tents, so there's the save item.
And it looks like all that the princess was really looking for was a bard. She hands out a musical instrument and then sends the light warriors on their way for Demon Frog. So I don't think he was hoping to find the loot this early. Are you always happy to see that loot, Edge, or were you wanting something a little bit more meaty for this, one of these first early key items?
Just in general, for the early key items, I prefer to. I'm happy when I find the loot, no matter where it is, because that could be in any treasure chest in the game outside of Temple of Fiends. So if I find it early, it's going to make my item searching a little bit easier.
Looking through the flag. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Edge.
I was going to say, there's a question in chat. Is this floor shuffle? Nope, just standard NPC shuffle, but no entrance, no floor shuffle today.
So what I was going to bring up was I was looking through the flag set here, and the initial EXP boost is a little bit lower than we've been seeing recently, and they've kind of built that into key items. So I believe it's 1.8 times experience for each encounter, with an additional 10% build for every key item after that. How significantly does that change your grind or level up strategy, Edge? Are you really thinking about those key items as you're picking them up, or at 10% a pop, is it not really a big deal?
That does make a significant difference, especially in the early game. But the most noticeable difference will be 10% when you apply it on the enemies in the Sea Shrine. And the Sky Castle becomes pretty significant. So the longer you can defer any sort of grinding, the better off you'll be. And I think maybe a small grind like burn all your Fire 3 charges on the zombie dragons, or burn some magic charges on the eye before casting exit, that would be acceptable, but I can't see a typical Agama grind for like 10 minutes or so.
It looks like people are gradually making their way over to investigate these pirates. Split Punched has already got the ship heading back to Provoca. Is he looking to pick up an item or a magic spell that he missed the first time around?
There were definitely some good magic spells available. You had Temper and Warp in the Black Magic shop, and there was Life 2 in the White Magic shop. So a lot of stuff that you definitely do not want to leave Provoca without. And yeah, I also did not see Cure 4, so... And notable that Cure 4 and Life 2 being in the level 2 slot, if they do find the tail, both of those are night learnable, so pretty solid for everyone that has the fighter in the party. Makes me curious if anyone decided to go 2-fighter Red Mage.
I believe I've seen you execute the 2-fighter strat before. I don't know how popular that is in the community yet, as we're here checking out level 3 Black. We've got Ice 3, Quake, Sleep, and Rub. Ice 3, that's a pickup for sure. Wouldn't you agree, Edge?
Yeah, it prepares you very well for going into the volcano. And at 4 we have Ruse and Heal 2. Ruse is a nice pickup. Unfortunately, doesn't land in a night learnable slot, but it is very useful for protecting the White Mage for party compositions where the White Mage is the only one that has access to that life spell.
If I'm not mistaken, I think out of all 4 of our runners, Files, Demon Frog, Split Punched, and Rumblefish, we've got 4 thieves that are still upright. I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised there. I thought for sure we'd be seeing some napping thieves right now.
I think that it's arguable whether or not it's worth having the thief around just for the early game run chance. But by the time you go into a dungeon where you can start picking up a lot of experience, like Marsh Cave, Volcano, Ice Cave, you really want the thief to be taking a nap. And I think everyone is around level 4 or 5, and I think you can get away with having the thief alive at that time, but you really don't want him around any longer than like 5 or 6.
I don't believe we've seen anything too nasty out of any early encounters. I did see at one point Demon Frog got the full Radiohead treatment and got wiped out by a few creeps, but I think that was just because they were hitting a little hard and didn't have anything special planned.
Alright, and we have a pro ring in the Dwarf Cave, so that's probably worth walking out this early. And incentivized Marsh Cave, I believe the Wizard Chest is incentivized, so we're probably gonna see our runners go down there sooner rather than later, and having access to Warp at 2 is gonna be really nice.
And much to the delight of chat and the chagrin of our runners, I believe we have both chests in Marsh incentivized. So it's possible that we'll be seeing a double dip here, and it does look like creeps have toxic, the kind that kills you immediately. So yes, they are confirmed nasty.
Oh, so with creeps with toxic, whoever picked up that pro ring, that is gonna pay off a little bit. Looks like Files is gonna take a run to Temple of Fiends since he's in the neighborhood, taking a little bit of a roundabout path since he got wiped out the last time. Nothing good in the weapon shop for Rumblefish. Sometimes useful to see if you can find a falchion for the thief or a silver sword for the knight, but neither one to be found.
As Shadow Walker helpfully points out in chat, we do have that the major NPCs are not randomized. So we know that we're going to get the rod from Sarda. We still have a few more locations in which to pick up a key item, a canal, a canoe, a floater, that would open up options for the rest of continental exploration. Maybe in Marsh Cave, I believe, is the only available option right now, unless I'm missing something, Edge.
Yeah, it will either be in the incentivized chest or in one of the loose chests, but the canal is going to be the biggest roadblock to our runners right now, with canoe being vanilla and Crescent Lake. And Files picks up his herb and is just going to warp right on out of there. Nice pickup in the armor department on Split Punch side with chain armor on the knight and the 2 red mages. His party should be pretty durable to the attacks of the enemies he finds in Marsh Cave, unless they're packing skills or spells, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it looks like all of our on-screen runners here are doing a full preparation for Marsh. We haven't really seen any brave explorations down into the depths. Is that something that you would also consider doing, Edge, or would you try and roll the dice a little bit and maybe duck in there at a bit low level and see if you can get lucky with those early warp charges?
It all depends if I have something at level 1 that can deal with the monsters down there. Zap is a little bit iffy. I would feel more comfortable with a low-level AoE spell, or even harm 3 or 4, given that there's a lot of undead down there.
It looks like Split Punched was able to pick up the adamant from the Sleeping Prince. Hopefully he wasn't using that as a pillow. And I believe that the dwarf will have to give the Excalibur. Is that correct? Or is that another possible randomized key item there?
I think that may be another randomized key item. And yeah, I guess Elf Prince was complaining his bed was as hard as a rock. And now we know why. So we'll see what Split Punch picks up here in just a minute.
Boy, and those creeps are really just acting like the karma police here. I think everybody's witnessed that toxic effect by now. So, you get hit by that maybe once, maybe twice. How long before you start feeling like you're behind the gun and maybe start taking a few more gambles?
It's important not to get tilted when you run into unfortunate incidents like that. And the fetch quest continues. Split Punch picks up the crystal. So he's doing everything in his power to avoid going into Marsh Cave. As far as bad luck goes, there's certain areas where you can kind of tell whether or not your opponents would have run into the same bad luck as you. If it's just something that's on, like a rare formation, like you get nuked by the 7 sorcerers down in Temple of Fiends Revisited, you know that your opponents probably aren't going to see that. But if it's something as common as the Ogre Creep encounter, you can feel pretty confident that everyone else is going through the same pain that you are.
And nothing helps pain like sharing it with others.
Oh, misery loves company. That's why we've got 11 people in this race tonight. It looks like we got a raid from St. Von Jester. Thank you very much. Question in chat, what did Split get from the adamant? He got the crystal. And the crystal led to the canal, so Files cashes in his crystal.
I don't know about you, Edge. I'm thrilled to see that canal. That really opens up possibilities, different destinations that our runners could go to. Do you still think that Marsh is the right play here, knowing that there's a key item located close by and you're in the level ballpark? Or, would you consider checking out what the Circle of Sages has to offer?
I think I would still go through Marsh if I had a little bit more firepower in the spell department. Once I had a few more Ice 3 charges and then Fire 2 and Lit 2 from level 4, I would definitely feel more comfortable going down here. And you also still need the key for the other key item. So visiting this early may be a double dip. On the other hand, if you find a very good spellcasting item, or say the floater is down here, it's going to be a pretty big lead for Rumblefish here. So we'll see how this turns out.
Looking at Rumblefish's screen, I can't help be reminded of my youth, checking every one of those rooms in vain, hoping that there's something to make this Forsaken Marsh case worth my time. But there was never anything.
Not even in the lock chests afterwards. Marsh Cave was just full of sadness and wizards, but mostly sadness.
Speaking of sad, we have Files visiting the town of Melmond. It's fallen on hard times. Level 5 life. Is this random? I don't even know. And Bane as well in level 5. So lots of familiar sights in Melmond today.
So a lot of the very, very high-powered spells appear to be landing late game. Haven't seen Fast yet, haven't seen Nuke, haven't seen Fade. Demon Frog's going to pick up his canal. And Rumblefish, as soon as he gets out of this fight, will probably be checking that chest. Wizard's pretty strong against that, though. Don't care much for Ice 3 either.
Now, it looks like it is a runnable encounter, but Rumblefish is choosing to take it. I mean, are the experience rewards good enough here, or would you just consider dashing out, Edge?
They're a little strong, and he finds the slab, so not really what you're hoping to find down here. The experience rewards for the wizards aren't too great. You do a lot better fighting the large mobs and wiping them out. But with Zap being so inaccurate, that doesn't feel great either. So, as far as leveling goes, it's not going to be as nice as it normally is going through Marsh Cave. So, Files and Split on their way to get the canoe. We have tents and cabins, softs and heels, so nice assortment in Crescent Lake. And what do we have in the armor shop? The steel armor, always a good pickup if you haven't found anything for the night yet. And there is fast at 6. Heal 3 Fade and Exit also at 6.
Yeah, I think that really has to make Files feel good. He's brought along a white mage and a black mage, so even though those spells are higher level, he is going to be able to gain access to those, whereas red mages or wizards, that's going to hurt when you see that.
Files finds a pack of peeds. Doesn't really have the magic to take them out yet. Although Zap hitting 2 is pretty sweet.
So Ed, you mentioned earlier you have Ice 3, so you feel, better about making a dive into Volcano. I really haven't seen any magic that would make me feel good by any stretch of the imagination about heading down into the chilly depths of Ice Cave. So at this point, are you considering maybe an armory dip just to see what's in there, or taking the ship all the way up and visiting Ordeals?
The problem is you don't have very much in the way of magic to get through Ordeals either. Getting the levels off of this fight is going to be pretty critical for Files. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, though. The biggest thing when deciding sort of, I have the canoe now, where next do I go, is what magic do you have available? So, as far as the white mage, if I have harm 3 or 4, then Ice Cave doesn't look so bad. If I have ice, lots of ice charges, and then maybe some lit charges for the gargoyles, then Volcano looks a lot more appealing. Right now, I think all the runners just need some levels somewhere, though, because Zap and Brack are not going to cut it going through the Volcano.
Fantasy Gamer 82 also pointing out in chat that Warp helps with Ice Cave. Yes, it is tremendous. Allows you to see what that key item is early. So if Ice Cave is a grind and it's terrible and that item doesn't pay off, then you know that much sooner. Also very helpful with Ordeals, though. But I do agree with Edge. Getting some levels at this point is paramount, because I think everybody's hovering around 6 or 7 right now.
Yeah, and it's even more important for the double red mage parties, given that they get their spell charges at a slower rate. So like Files is betting everything on the Brack strats, see if this pays off. Nope.
Well, he's really thinking about that copper bracelet too, just trying to decide if he wants to show that off to the Pede, maybe, generate some goodwill towards him. I haven't seen a proposal yet in Final Fantasy I Randomizer. That may have been my first glance at it there.
I'd have to say a wedding dress for a Pede would cost an enormous amount of money.
Yeah, I can just imagine what the train down the aisle would look like, with all the legs sticking out the side. It could be a thing of beauty. What do I know? I've never attended an insect wedding, and Files might never either at this rate, because this Pede is hanging on for dear life here. Oh, speak of the devil.
Playing hard to get, but the drink strat paid off, and he has quite a bit in the black magic department now.
Yeah, I think that sword was taking a page out of Hangry Canuck's playbook there, and it looks like it paid off. You've hit a high level with your black mage, which is great, give you access to better magic, and your fighter's a little tougher. The good white magic was level 2, so you've already got access to, I think you said Edge was Cure 4, Life 2. Yeah, I think you feel okay about those level distributions there.
Yeah, I think you also feel pretty good about just making a dive for treasure chests. I think if I was in File's shoes, I would try to get a couple of houses and then do a armory dip and then head up to Ice Cave to see what's in there. I don't think he has... there are houses for sale in Crescent, though, unfortunately.
I also really like the armory dive here. We've just seen so little in terms of equipment. The pro ring that the dwarves gave was just about the only consolation prize we've seen so far. A ribbon or a decent sword or, even a couple of silver bracelets would go a long way at this point.
So it looks like Demon Frog is taking the tack to get some levels along the river, and he is at 8 right now. And Split is on the open ocean, maybe heading towards... well, he has a few options here. If he's feeling somewhat daring, he can go dip into Earth Cave and check the 5 chests in the lobby.
Edge, I haven't caught it, but I've noticed that Files just ran into another Pede encounter. Is he power cycling and he managed to find Pedes relatively early out of Crescent Lake, or are we just seeing a pretty good string of luck here?
I think they are very early in the encounter table. They're not off of the power cycle directly, but they may be the second or third one. Yeah, it looks like the second one.
And it looks like Demon Frog is eschewing the volcano, even though he's got some icy magic that would help cool their expectations, and he's gonna dive down into Ice Cave, hopefully use that warp to maximum effect, and I'm excited for this play. This could be a major leap forward for Demon Frog.
Yeah, if it's a vanilla floater, he's gonna be in really good shape. He looks like he has plenty of warp charges to quickly get out of Ice Cave as well, once he decides to check the chest. So, if he is just doing a key item only check of Ice Cave, this could be done pretty quickly.
Shadow Walker pointing out that Split Punched is making the bold decision here to go investigate ordeals. I don't hate this place. So many charges of warp. You're really low level. I think just level 5 is what I saw for the party. But Ordeals can be a pretty short dungeon if you execute it properly, and you've got Ice 3 at least to deal with those nightmares, so you better hope that the zombie Ds are runnable, but besides that, I really like this play.
Yeah, this can be kind of scary if you don't have anything to deal with the groups. That is a nice zap on the Man-Cat group, and that is a ton of experience. So, just with one cast, he is about where he should be in levels. So, very, very good play. Looks like the zombies are unrunnable though, but he does have double harm 4. Yeah, if I was in split shoes, I may have been tempted to warp out of Ordeals altogether and then just use a house outside to get more spell charges from level 9. But he's gonna truck right ahead.
Now, Edge, I know you've been playing this game for a while, but I just wanted to let you know that there are other classes besides the White Mage that are present this evening, so if you need me to point them out to you, just let me know.
What are you talking about? I see a White Mage in the upper left right there. That's all you need. As well proved last night, all you need is one. in 6 hours, but all you need is one.
There is no shortage of masochists within the Final Fantasy I randomizer community, that's for sure. Speaking of masochism, boy, it looks like Ice Cave decided to yield up as a divine offering a ruby, if I'm not mistaken. So that is not what you want to see in that position.
No, I mean, you can get the rod and finish Earth.
An ice cave or an earth cave clear. I think that's what everybody wants to see right now in chat at the very least.
Oh no, mummies have Fire 2 and Blizzard. Split takes a wipe.
And that means that he lost all that valuable experience that he'd accumulated, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Edge?
Yeah, that's the hardest part with diving a dungeon at low levels. Sometimes you can get away with it, but if you run into a wipe and you've gained quite a lot in the way of levels, feels awful.
There's been a lot of early level dives over on the new player races that go on every Sunday, again through the Final Fantasy I randomizer community, and I think that those are an absolute delight to watch. You can see when bold moves pay off, or more likely just eventually when hope kind of dwindles and dies, and they're both equally entertaining.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't have any other good option but to roll the dice and dive a very, very mean dungeon at a low level, and I mean that's the randomizer for you, but tend not to see those seeds too often, fortunately. Oxiel in Ordeals for Split, and he may be able to get some levels off of these zombie dragons. Well, now he has to, they're unrunnable.
Well, even though they're packing some heat, it looks like Split Punched is able to eke his way out of Ordeals and claim his prize of an Oxiale. It's not going to come in handy right now. Gets a few levels out of it. I didn't see anything else worth a hoot, really, in any of those chests. Boy, this is just a rough seed right here for these runners, I think, here, Edge.
Yeah, and with all of the poor items showing up, you know, in ice and in ordeals, the armory dive is looking a lot more attractive. So I'm curious if any of the off-stream runners decided to go for it, and if they found something nice. We've got Excalibur found in Ice Cave, but without the tail, the knight is, or the fighter's just not strong enough to carry it.
Yeah, I kind of imagine that they have the Excalibur, but they haven't quite managed to extract it from the stone yet. So, you know, once they get the tail, be able to, you know, complete the Arthurian legend. But for right now, it's a bit unfortunate for Demon Frog.
It's either that or the knight is just strong enough where he can just, you know, move both the sword and the stone at the same time. He's just clobbering the enemies with a giant rock.
I mean, I feel very powerful whenever I catch something in a mousetrap. I don't know about anybody else.
Split finding some unrunnable worms. If he can take them down, that'll be some good experience, but they're not falling for his meme strats today.
Well, the longer time progresses, Edge, the more I like that volcano dive. It's got just a plethora of chests at your fingertips right away. And the other big gamble, I think, right now is the waterfall dive. And then if that's a bust, then you go talk to the mermaids. That just seems like a big commitment this early for, you know, not a lot of payout potentially.
Yeah, the waterfall dive is going to be pretty scary, though. Just because of what the mummies have, not to mention just the general nastiness of the nightmares and possible gas dragon sightings down there too.
Now, I thought that Rumblefish was the first to discover that Ice Cave held the ruby, but it looks like Rumblefish reset out of there. So, if this truly is a ruby-locked seed, boy, that's going to be unfortunate. Do you take that risk? Do you take that gamble? Because the ruby so rarely is important.
I usually don't, especially with the change in progression options with the if the Titans moved over so that he blocks the treasure chest as well. Even if the ruby isn't required, the 4 treasure chests are a nice consolation prize.
And you get to help a Titan out, which, I don't know, it seems like the right thing to do to me.
And there we go, we've got a volcano dive. File's headed over there right now. But we also have a sea shrine dive from Split, and he is going to go straight for the mermaids.
So there's a bit more of a risk-reward strategy for Split Punched here. These instant death spells manage to take out some of the high XP groups, like the XP Pinatas, or even the Ghost Encounters, since he's got Harm 4. This could be a good way to catch up and gain a whole bunch of levels. But, Edge, I'm not really familiar with what is the most effective, you know, instant death magic in Sea Shrine.
Usually by the time you get to Sea Shrine, you're hoping that you have access to either Lit 2, Lit 3, or Nuke or something. Usually just having a few charges of those are good enough. Right now, the Ghost Encounters, as scary as they are nice for him to find because he has plenty of Harm 4 charges. But as far as the most effective instant death, Brack is still pretty good. Quake is out of the question, and Bane's not bad either. Bane is actually very useful for the Arsag Wisag group if you want to preserve Lit 3 or Ice 3 charges. But yeah, Zap will work on pretty much anything except Chaos. The only problem is with its low magic accuracy. Sea Shrine is... oh, wow, he finds Masmian. That's pretty sweet. Sea Shrine is about when that starts to tail off in effectiveness. Files takes a wipe in Volcano. Demon Frog has joined him there.
Yeah, I saw that something had Stone Touch or some type of stoning ability in Volcano. I missed what it was, though.
It looks like Files is headed to the northern, the upper left chest, so there might be something good in there.
Well, a Moss Immune, you don't feel bad walking that out of the Mermaids, but it's still not a progression item. You still know that you're up here. You kind of feel like you have to take out Kraken while you're here, or else you just wasted a whole bunch of time leaving and then flying back on the airship. And boy, level 14 is a bold level to take on Kraken. Maybe we'll see a Split Punch check another few chests and try and walk some loot and EXP out of here.
I would not be surprised to see Split try to brack Kraken. Alright, so there's an Ice Shield in the treasury, so not too bad. He finds the defense sword, but it just casts slow, so worst prize. He did find a temper staff, though, so that's going to be really nice to pick up.
Yeah, the Ice Shield isn't a bad pickup. I think, someone I saw pick up some silver armor earlier. Those have been the, best pieces of equipment outside of that pro ring that we found early on. So even though people are accumulating levels, anything that's big that's out there, whether it's, any one of the poisons or cracks or zaps or banes, all of those have just got to feel like existential threats at this point of the game. Almost 40 minutes in, which is a long time to go and still have... the fear of all the fiends put in your heart.
Yeah, you never feel truly safe until you find a ribbon and can put it on the Life 2 or Life Caster. Alright, so it's Rumblefish's turn to go through ordeals, and Split is still trucking through Sea Shrine. It looks like Files is going to go lower into Volcano. See what we can find here.
You are correct, Fantasy Gamer. I think that there was a Pro Cape sighting as well. That's nice to have, but it's not going to protect you from any of those instant death things that can really just turn your day around right quick. And I think that's what you've got to be most worried about as a runner right now. Something can hit you hard, and you just kind of walk away from that saying that'll happen. But an all-party wipe to Bane, that makes you reconsider what game you're playing.
So Files found a slow gauntlet, or the slow stick, and the I believe it was a stun gauntlet. So for the carry fight, those might actually come in handy if he doesn't find anything stronger. Yeah, stun is basically Quad X, but with paralysis instead of death, so not as preferable, but still useful. Especially for a boss fight.
And normally you shouldn't play with your food before you eat it, but if stun's the only option you have available to you, then Godspeed, I say.
Yeah, and I think for Files, it just may be the gamble that he wants to take, being able to finish Volcano without coming back. And, well, it looks like he just found a pile of garbage.
Split, however, finds the opposite of garbage, a precious ribbon, as Shadow Walker informs us, located in the Sharknado floor. So that's really got to help Shadow Walker, or excuse me, Split Punch feel confident about, taking these levels, warping back out, saving, and going back in and trying to shake hands with Kraken.
And the experience from the Gershark fight certainly is going to help here, too. And, yeah, the Mazmune is already making its presence felt, split up to level 17 already.
So it looks like Demon Frog decided not to fully investigate the volcano and leave Carrie to her own devices for a little bit. I kind of like this play. I don't think there's any real reason to kill Carrie before you feel like you can absolutely knock her out. And it's just, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to kind of climb your way up through that lava-filled volcano and confront her again. How do you feel about this, Edge?
I feel like if you're going to get Volcano in 2 trips, that you really should clear out just the armory floor and then leave. The dive down, I think, takes just a little bit too much time.
Looks like Rumblefish has also found a lit shirt somewhere along the way, so that's one more piece of, potentially good vanilla magic that has just been reduced to garbage. So one more resource taken away from these runners.
Yeah, the shuffled items have been not great so far. The Temper Staff, you love to see that, but everything else, not so much.
Demon Frog visiting the Oasis here, not finding too much, decides to make a few purchases on the housing market, and then he'll be off.
Okay, Carrie hits real hard. That was 660, so good luck, Files.
Was the thief also in possession of the stun gauntlet?
Either the stun or the slow gauntlet would be pretty bad for Files. So now he's deep in thought, or his Taco John's just arrived. I don't know which.
I believe those are one and the same, aren't they?
Deep into potato olays. I like it.
This is such a tricky position. You've got possible temper charges that you could throw on Sword here. Got an Ice Shield. Oh, it looks like the Ice Shield managed to hold up pretty well under Carrie's assault here. And with Cure 4 available, that might just be the best route forward. Oh, as the Black Mage just gets obliterated.
Yeah, good move on Files. Took a little while to get there, but it's certainly better than having to do this whole fight over again.
And it looks like there was a bracketing by Split Punched while we were otherwise occupied with files, if I'm to believe chat right here.
Yeah, not a big surprise. The Brack on Kraken strategy really hit its heyday during the 3 Black Mage 1 Thief round of the Final Fantasy Randomizer League, in which the instant death spells, you basically had to use every single one of them to get to the end of the game. Ooh, that's a big one. Floater for Split Punched. So he jumps to a pretty commanding lead here.
And that's in a chest you traditionally check pretty late in your cycle. If I'm going to see Shrine and I'm checking every chest, if I feel at a good level, I'll go up and visit Kraken first, and then down and visit the mermaids, or whichever way that's oriented. And then, boy, yeah, Split Punch has got to be feeling pretty great right now. With a ribbon, a floater, an orblet, yeah, that's a lot of good feelings there. And the Mass Moon, oh boy.
Yeah, C was absolutely the play this seed, and well, Split handsomely rewarded for being brave enough to dive here at, was it, I think, level 13 or so?
It was pretty early on. I think I remember seeing level 13, level 14, something along those lines. And Files manages to pick up a controversial piece of equipment. I think I see the Vorpal indicated on the tracker there. I forget where Files stands on this sword, though.
He'll use it if he has to, but definitely prefers the Nasmian or the Excal.
Well, the options are running out for most of our other runners here. Demon Frog currently occupying Ordeals, and Rumblefish currently investigating Ice Cave. I think eventually all paths will lead to the Waterfall, Sea Shrine, Bonanza, and for right now, I think Split Punch has a pretty commanding lead, having kind of taken that gamble and gone there earlier. I don't think I would have made this play. I would have probably done Volcano first myself.
Yeah, I think Volcano first is an okay play as well. The only thing, though, is that you have to go to C immediately afterwards, or you really fall behind. So we'll see where Files ends up going after this. And interesting decision by Split to wait on going to Waterfall until after he got a ton of levels in that ribbon in C. Rumblefish is going to pick up his ruby and probably be a little frustrated.
Looks like Rumblefish is still struggling to get levels, too. I think, levels 11 and 9 in there. That's got to feel pretty bad for 52 minutes into a seed.
Yeah, the slight adjustment downward in the experience is definitely having an effect on some of the runners here.
And Edge, you mentioned keeping the Thief alive, I think, for earlier run chances. It looks like Demon Frog, Rumble, and Split are all taking advantage of that Thief run chance still. And Files' Thief is awake and alert as well. I'm pretty flabbergasted by this. Keeping that Thief alive this long, maybe just with the lower EXP gains early on, they're thinking they can compensate it for it when they're running through Sea Shrine or Air Shrine and just kind of plucking out all the eyes that they find along the way.
We have a cube and a pro ring. So some nice stuff in Waterfall. As far as keeping the thieves alive, though, I think Split probably picked his thief up for the Kraken fight. Another pro ring. Alright, so you don't have to buy those. Files is gonna cash in the ruby, so we'll see if there's anything good in these 4 chests here. Nope.
Yeah, I don't think a wooden shield pickup is exactly what Files was looking for in this situation. I could be wrong. He could really just be wanting to get in touch with his druidic defenses.
Runs into a pack of tigers, though. So he is going to go for the Earth Cave play. Split is looking like he is in a commanding position right now.
Files manages to pick up the rod from Sarda as Demon Frog, I think, is probably looking longingly at these max price gold bracers and seeing what kind of deal he can cut with this merchant.
Listen, hook me up with 3 gold bracelets and I'll give you the thief.
How much is this ruby worth to you? And we are airborne, split punched, just shy of 55 minutes. Goes on the glorious journey from the Ryu something something desert all the way up to Crescent Lake. Sorry, everybody, I don't remember what it's called.
Is it the Ryukin Desert, I think? The lore is so sparse in this game that I forget myself.
It just sounds vaguely Street Fighter-ish to me, and that's about all I remember.
Oh no, he gets NPC blocked. I hate this guy.
I really do appreciate the animations of NPCs when they're pushed out of the way speed up right as you push past them.
Alright, so the fairy had the crown, and he also has the slab translated, so he can take a quick trip down there if he wants to, but he's just gonna go fight Astos instead.
Oh, do you mean the kindly old king in the Northwest Castle? I think he's just waiting for his crown to be retrieved.
Yeah, I know, he's gotta cover his bald spot.
And the king just nonchalantly hands Split Punched a bag of explosives and then attacks him. Probably not the best priority there.
Here, have this TNT. Why is it lit?
Let's just be glad Astus didn't cast fire.
It's alright, somebody's about to cast fire. We'll see what Narek does with this TNT. He gives you the key, so I guess when you have dynamite, no door is going to stand in your way.
It's a strong bargaining position. I have this TNT, give me everything you have.
Well, right now, everything he has is, about 70k in gold, so not particularly useful late game, so the good stuff may be in Canaria yet. He's just gonna skip over it, alright. He's going straight for the locked progression item in Marsh.
I know that when I'm playing and I get the key and I'm not, maybe I'm in a fugue state because I've been playing for too long, I can just breeze past some of those locations with key lock chests and not even think about it. Is that something you still encounter, Edge, or have you managed to inundate yourself against that effect?
Oh no, I've lost places and races because I've forgotten they've existed. I think the biggest offender is the 3 in the Northwest Castle. got an ice sword for files, so that is a modest upgrade for him, but definitely not what he's looking for.
Yeah, I think if you're files right now, finding the ice sword 58 minutes into the game and thinking, oh wow, and equipping it just has to feel like this seed is really rubbing your nose in it.
Demon Frog's going to pick up his slab, and Split is not even going to check the other lock chest and just books it for the tail, which isn't too bad. He's already found the Aegis Shield and some other decent knight equipment, so...
So now might be a good time to go and class change and maybe go visit the land of Lupa Lupa as well, and maybe grab that chime from them. I think that's what we're still looking for at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, and Split also has all of the Cardia Islands to check, and now with access to the tail, the extra knight equipment that he finds. Oh god, he just found a Fade something. I don't know what that is.
Is that the Fade D? Oh no, that's a gauntlet symbol. Okay, so it's not faded. That's good information to have.
It's just been sitting out in the sun too long. So yeah, the rich get richer. There's infinite Fade casts.
Yeah, Split certainly is earning dividends here off that early gamble to go investigate the Sea Shrine. And, it's not quite the power bonk, but, I would not turn down a Fade Gauntlet any day of the week.
No, that will allow the thief to contribute, and it's a question now whether Split wants to keep him alive and casting things, or if he still wants the experience distribution on all of the other characters.
Rumblefish picks up the rod as well, and we'll see if he heads over and does the files play here and finds a precious ice sword in Earth Cave, or if he'll look to greener pastures otherwhere.
Yeah, Split immediately putting the Fade Sword into the ninja's inventory, so he's probably going to stay alive for a little longer. And now time to check the rest of the treasure chests here. Still has to go back and check some chests near Canaria. Probably will do those before attempting Earth Cave. Oh, second ribbon. All the good stuff is floater lock.
Wow, yeah, at this point, 2 ribbons, pro rings galore, Aegis Shield, Mazmoon. I'd have a hard time not just booking it right to Lupa Lupa Land and figuring out where that chime is, because if you find it, you've got to be feeling like you're in go mode.
And Split is just going to do some victory laps out over the ocean before heading to talk to Sarda.
Sure, he just wants to kind of crank that baby up and see what she can do on the open sky.
I mean, there's no speeding tickets for planes, right?
I think there was for Setzer's girlfriend, but that's the only incident that I can think of.
Oh.
It's okay, she gives you an experience egg. Everything works out. Demon Frog finding similar disappointment in the Titan's tunnel. It's really not the Titan's fault, though. It doesn't really have any control over what's in those chests, so let's not blame the Titan for that poor showing there.
It is a perfectly nice decorative shield, though.
File's still fighting the good fight in Earth Cave. I haven't seen anything better than that ice sword be picked up, and I believe he's only got a few more chests to check.
And there's the chime, so Split has so much in the way of equipment, probably should just hustle to the end at this point.
Files does find a rub hammer. Typically hammers I associate with smashing. I guess you can use them for rubbing purposes as well. So Edge, if you're in Split Punched shoes right now, you've got 2 ribbons. You've got all the key items that you need to finish the game. You've got massa. Are you checking more chests, or are you flying?
I think I may check any chests that are conveniently in the way. So this first floor check, I don't necessarily disagree with. It does not take very long to check all of the chests on this floor. And you do get some good experience just throwing some spells out there before you warp out. I would probably not check the second floor on up, though.
Looks like Demon Frog is going to take the plunge into Volcano, check the armory, and feel a little disappointed. Oh, maybe Demon Frog's already checked the armory, actually, and is going to investigate the lower floors.
Alright, well, he finds Cure 4. And it might be maybe a Cure 4 helmet?
Yeah, that's a solid pickup, don't get me wrong, but you know, the Knight will already have access to Cure 4 and Life 2, I believe, since that's at level 2 magic, so I might consider moving that down onto the Ninja, just in case Ninja ends up surviving the first round of attacks, maybe can provide a little bit more support.
Oh boy, he just found a Brack item as well. Like the game needs to encourage him anymore.
Files, no doubt, taking out some frustration on Lich here, and let's hope that Files can take Lich down and then move on, and he successfully does so. Lich is out of here.
So Split just pulled all of the armor off all of his party members, and I wonder if he is just intending on two-manning or soloing his way to the top of Sky Castle. This will be pretty interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, it looks like he's waving his chain shirt around, maybe mistaking those saber tees for bowls, but it does the trick as everyone goes down.
Yeah, moved the Fade Stick to the Knight, so that wall isn't going to help you, friend.
Now, I believe, I think the Knight was 21, now level 22. I don't know how much more grinding I feel like is necessary right here. I think the percentages go up to 200 in this seed. You know, you can make a decent run into Topher if you've got a Knight that's, you know, hopefully 24, and you're going to get levels anyway just climbing up the Air Shrine. I don't know if I agree with this, you know, wipe and gain extra experience on the Knight, although you do have life too. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I can see where he's coming from, but this is going to take him longer to get through some of these fights, since he is going to take every fight on the way up. You just, with one party member alive, you cannot afford to try to run. And he's going to finish out with a Knight that is absurdly powerful. And we'll just see if he can save time with that very powerful Knight running through Earth Cave and Temple of Fiends.
Now, I don't remember if red mages or red wizards can learn fast. I believe it was in level 1/6 magic. I just have a sheet of paper pasted up on my wall that says, "You'll never remember this anyway." So if the red mages or wizards can't learn fast, that's another barrier that Split Punched has.
But with 200% stats, not having fast is going to feel bad, but you have a temper staff, you have a ton of temper charges, so you should be alright. Yeah, the knight has already gained about 4 levels on his climb up here. Oh, there goes the Brack. There goes the Brack item. Couldn't leave that one alone.
It's just too tempting. So we're about an hour and 9 minutes into this seed here. I think I'll try and give a brief recap here, and Edge, if anything slips through the cracks, feel free to help me out. We had the king initially, in all of his benevolence, giving up a cabin. The princess gave the loot. Vicky gave the ship. We found the herb early in Temple of Fiends, and when given to the sleeping elf prince, he gave the adamant. The Marsh crown held the slab. The adamant held the canal. Ordeals held the oxyale. Ice cave had a big old ruby in it, and floater was in a loose chest in sea shrine.
Sounds pretty good to me. As far as the very nice to have items, left side on the way to Kraken had a ribbon, and the second ribbon that Split found was in Cardia Islands.
Looks like Demon Frog is about to pull carry, deciding to just take this whole volcano location off the map early.
And with some temper charges, should be able to take carry out. Ooh, the thief lives through that one. And it just wouldn't be Files playing FFR without a trip to Ordeals.
Looks like we're on the Bridge of Destiny, so Chad, it looks like if you don't want this hero run to happen, you better get those Bless RNGs out for our good old friend, Senior Warmech. And I do love those kind of Scooby-Doo versions of the air sprites for for Split Punched there.
Alright, Brack time for Tiamat. And looks like he hits pretty hard. So, might be, yeah, looks like he's just going to take a couple shots and then cure 4. So, eventually he will get there. Alright, so started at about 22, ended at 30, and everything is pretty good in Solo Nightland. No! Leave him alone!
If we can all have a moment of silence for our fallen comrade. Now, Edge, I saw that Split Punched didn't even bother bringing anyone back up for that Tiamat fight. Is that a bit of memes there that we're seeing, or he just felt that confident?
With Brack, it's a pretty high percentage chance that you're going to kill Tiamat. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both memes and confidence. If push came to shove, he could just, you know, use the Fade Gauntlet repeatedly, but not really necessary in this case. And looks like he's gonna 2-man the rest of the way.
I did see that Split Punched fighter still has the iron armor equipped. Is that Is that something that you think is, just in the back of his mind irritating him, or you feel fine enough since you have the Aegis shield and, a stacked other equipment?
So it makes me curious if Split is just going to grab some of the easier chests to get along the way. He's going to walk right by a couple of treasure rooms with a couple chests in them, so I would be surprised if he didn't grab those. The biggest question that I have is if he remembers where the steel armor is or the gold bracelets are, because either of those is a viable upgrade over the iron armor.
File's picking up the cube here. He's in the right area. Hopefully he'll stick around and make the dive into Sea Shrine, and we'll have somebody finally trying to catch up to Split Punched here.
Alright, and he's going to pick up his double pro rings now. Still at level 15, though, so kind of on the same track as Split, just definitely behind in levels.
And it looks like Rumblefish82 is also able to locate the Vorpal. It looks like it was in the bottom Agama chest of the linked Agama, or not linked, but of the twin Agama chest in Volcano. And just kind of keeping it safe in inventory for now.
All right,
as Split Punch takes down Carry.
Yeah, just one shot's Carry, no big deal.
I believe that's just returning the favor.
And I think Split does remember where the steel armor is. Oh, he's going to skip that and just go straight for the magic. Double fast. And looking at his party, he decides not to buy any of the good white magic. Given that he only has 4 fast charges, that's probably a good move. 1 for Chaos, and then 3 for the more difficult fiends.
Wow, I didn't realize Split didn't have Cure 4 or Life 2 for the Mirage Tower blowout event. I am blown away by the chutzpah that took. I think I may need to rewatch this seed again and take some notes here.
Yeah, it's a lot safer with the Cure 4 helmet in tow, but you can always get put into the ground by an enemy that has Stone Touch or Death Touch. So it is the single man strategy going through Sky is not without risk.
It looks like Files is in the right area. He's going to go check the mermaids first. We'll see if he warps all the way out and goes to see Kraken, or just decides to pick up those chests after warping out of the mermaid location.
I know he's a fan of going to mermaids first in case the item that he really wants is everything that he wants is in this area. So just going straight for the higher chest density first. And yeah, does a little bit of a double take on that one.
Maybe he was just surprised to see a good item in this seed at this point. And Demon Frog is in the area as well, entering Waterfall, about to knock on the door of some cockatrices and whiz mummies here, and then obtain that cube and hopefully make the journey over to Onrak.
And now Split is just going to go mode Earth, and that's going to save quite a bit of time over anyone that may have taken the Ruby bait.
And Files does indeed just check that close chest to that mermaid entrance and is rewarded with the floater. So that's got to be, I feel like I could feel the wind from his breath of relief after opening that chest.
It could have been from a deep sigh of frustration, too. Files is a little bit more on the pessimistic side.
You know, they feel the same when you're this distance away, I'll be honest. Rumblefish pulling carry 2 in the, or carry 1, excuse me. Got a little ahead of myself there. And see if we can get carry back in the ground again.
All right, well, the thief gets put in the ground first, so round 2.
Well, Edge, I believe that's how you make more thieves, is you've got to plant them first.
Maybe that's why they keep hanging around FFR despite everyone's opinion.
Yeah, the more you strike them down, the stronger they become.
Speaking of getting struck down, there goes carry for Rumblefish, so everyone on the board with an orb now. Split trucking his way to Lich, and we'll see how fast he dies shortly.
So is Files still checking the rest of the chests here, still looking to full clear, because still a few uncertain key items around, so he probably still feels like he has to, you know, check all these other chests as well. You don't want to miss a key item in a loose chest and feel like you have to run all the way back.
Equipment-wise, he still hasn't found a ribbon yet either, so that might be something that's causing him a little bit of concern.
Well, he should be checking the Sharknado room shortly, and I believe that's where we saw Split Punched pick up his first ribbon some time ago. And Split Punched, here we go, right at carry, or Lich.
And, of course, never the one to resist the meme strats is just gonna Quake Lich, because really that's really the best use of that spell.
And Files manages to pick up that first ribbon an hour and 21 minutes in. Oh boy, yeah, there's another sigh of frustration there, most likely. And Demon Frog finding the floater on the way down to the mermaids, actually. So it looks like things are starting to, the dominoes are starting to fall here pretty quickly. So I think the pace of the game is going to accelerate rapidly here as Split Punch prepares himself for the dive into Topher.
Gold bracelets for everyone.
I think Rumblefish is trying to tell us that gold can't buy love, but I think that gold can buy more gold.
Just melting down all of that cash directly into armor. Four orbs lit with the loot and the key in hand, so he's definitely good to go there. Not gonna attempt to pry open the plate with the rod like someone else did yesterday.
You know, every once in a while you just have to check. You know, the path forward is led by innovators.
I think it would be fun if you could have items with multiple uses. Like, you just don't need just the loot or the rod will destroy any plates.
Yeah, I think Meridian's been getting too much sleep recently, so everyone just message him with that suggestion. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure Nitz has already shot that one down on his behalf, but...
So we have Split Punched in the Temple of Fiends Revisited sometime before 123, and already past the Phantom floor, it looks like, and rapidly running towards the Earth floor. Do you anticipate anything being a huge speed bump for Split Punched here, Edge? 2 ribbons, Massa, level 30 Knight, that's with life too, you gotta feel pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing that would be scary is 200% stats on Kraken, Tiamat, or Chaos. But with the Knight being as tanky as he is, and with access to as much Cure 4 as you need, I don't foresee this being a problem. I think the only way this goes poorly is if something, the old 3 and 256 goes through the ribbon, but I mean, he's just has to rely on extremely bad luck in order to drop it at this point.
Yeah, the odds of, getting crit through your ribbon, they're the same odds as pulling off a Brack or a Bane on Chaos, and I've crunched the numbers, they are not good. Right as Split Punched makes short work of Lich 2, we see that Rumblefish82 has decided to move on to Castle Ordeals, try and locate, fate and fortune there. I think they're both going to abandon him, though. Just a pretty brutal seed in terms of decision making, I think. Split made a bold decision early, and man, has it just paid and paid and paid.
Yeah, as far as equipment needed to finish the game out, he has found pretty much everything short of a really good armor piece for the Knight, and he is just taking the ball and run with it. And right now, yeah, carry is going to go down pretty quickly, especially with the double tempers here.
And, as you pointed out, the Knight has more levels to kind of compensate high HP for that low armor. Split Punched has just played this so well this whole way through. I think he deserves to be feeling good right now and, heading the pack, so to speak.
Yeah, it was made very aggressive plays, and all of them paid off. And it just shows you how fast you can finish a seed, even with TNT and Marsh being required.
Well, we technically have 3 of the same runners in the sea area, floors or shrines. That's basically something, right? This is pretty much a 3-way high five right here.
Yeah, Files definitely ahead of the other 2, having finished off carrying the volcano already, but that is not a huge time saving given how fast Volcano is to finish in go mode. So we will have stereo Kraken fights as Kraken goes down to Split Punched, and then Files will fight Kraken 2, or Kraken 1 very soon.
So we don't even get to see how rough Kraken 2 is. Split Punched is just denying us any bit of, juicy memes. I don't know. I feel betrayed, Edge. I wanted to see something powerful there, and just I got nothing out of it.
We've got 2 bosses left for fun things to happen, so looks like Split taking quite a bit of damage there, and he is almost out of heal potions, so he needs to be a little careful with how he doles these out.
He should still have plenty of Cure 4 charges. I know probably saving as many of those for the Chaos and Tiamat fights as possible, but if you have to spend one or two, they're only in the level 2 slot, you should have a plurality of them. Oof, an Edge. Oh boy, you took a beating there.
Yeah, what else is new? And it looks like Tiamat rolled pretty high absorb, but the temper charges are plentiful, so I anticipate seeing those show up.
Files managing to knock down Kraken 1, lighting his third orb, and probably en route to go turn in that floater next.
Pretty friendly damage distribution from Tiamat so far, just going after the middle party members, and down he goes.
It looks like Tiamat was just looking for a bit of worship, wanting to get as many light warriors down on one knee as possible.
And, oof, with those back-to-back battles, that's probably going to do it for his hopes of finishing sub 130, but he's going to be pretty close.
I don't know if I've seen this in a seed before. A runner having pulled Chaos while 3 of the other contenders are still sailing the open seas. That might be a first for me, Edge.
It's not only just the other contenders, but it is every single other person in this race right now, looking at the field of 11.
Well, it looked like that. Sorry, go ahead.
He's going to throw the ink out there, which is always nice to see, and this ought to do it for this fight. Chaos trying out the Bane strats to take down the Knight, but he is still standing.
Yeah, Split Punch has the Mazmune, and Chaos is just throwing pocket sand right now. It's doing nothing. Files gazes longingly at the Marsh Cave before deciding it's not worth his time, and Chaos is down.
Yeah, with an SRL time of 1:31:01. A tremendously quick finish. And we'll get Split in here for an interview shortly.
So the 3 other runners we have on the stream, Files has 3 orbs lit, Demon Frog has 2 orbs lit, Rumblefish 82 has 1 orb lit. We've really spanned the spectrum of possibilities here with this seed. I think pretty much every permutation or perturbation of routing was chosen by these runners and the other featured. And here we are. Files is next to pick up the airship at 1:32. I think that's maybe 40 minutes behind where Split Punched had. So everyone should buckle up. We might be here for a little while longer.
And we're joined by Split right now. GG, Split.
GG. Where is everyone else?
Your aggressive play to go to C earlier than everyone else just kept paying off. It paid off so very much. Not only with Mazmune, the floater, early access to another ribbon, better equipment, just the ordering of things was entirely in your favor.
To be fair, with even ignoring the fact that I'm the person who came with the flag set, this is the most me seed that I could have possibly asked for.
Yeah, a lot of the instant death spells available. So having knowledge of what enemies were vulnerable to Zap and Brack certainly a huge advantage on your part. But also the fairly aggressive play to solo the Knight through Sky certainly paid off as well.
Yeah, I knew the experience gets really out of control later, so I figured once I found the Fade, what I'm pretty sure is the Wizard Staff because of my ROM set I have. I think that's the only one I actually know what it was, and whatever the Cure 4 thing was, I figured unless I get Death Touched, he's gonna kill whatever's in here, and I'm going to get ridiculous experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned on stream, like, Death Touch and Stone Touch, really the only things that you were concerned about, but, I mean, your Knight came out the other end at level 30, 31, 32, and just completely demolished everything on the rest of the seed.
Just, I don't know, I decided to go to Ordeals, got the Oxtail, I figured I better double down on that play, and it turned out to be the right one.
Yeah, Ordeals was a little rude with the wipe to the mummies, but it also gave you the information that maybe Waterfall wouldn't be as nice to check first, and seems like that paid off. Even that routing decision worked out well for you.
Yeah, normally I think I would have gone to Waterfall first, but having seen the mummies, I was like, let's do not that first because those mummies are awful. Yeah, it paid off in everything that I could have possibly wanted in C, basically.
So, looks like you decided to go with the double red mage strategy as well. Any thoughts about that versus the white mage black mage strategy?
White mage black mage is definitely a lot safer because you know you're going to have access to everything that you need. But red mage is a risk, but I don't think it's that big of a risk given that you still get every black magic spell up through 4, and it's half of them. You're probably going to have something useful in there, and then you also have the white magic to throw in. It is still a risk. I just don't think it's as big of one as some people seem to think. It can hurt you, but there's also times where you have a white mage and it's like, well, your white mage does nothing. So
yeah, with the thief in the party having the white mage, the ability to dan the white mage becomes significantly less.
Yeah, and I don't remember where Fade was other than that I think it was like level 6 or something, and you just didn't have, I mean, you weren't getting that great of offensive output out of your mages anyway because they were all using insta-kills, but the white mage seems like outside of Harm 4, you would have just been sitting there and hoping.
Yeah, Harm 4, like just basically a heal bot that killed undead.
So GG Split Punch, this is Rom Ulysses here. So I have a question. When did you kind of put together that you were going to wipe out everyone else in your party for that Mirage Tower Ascension? I was really floored by that play. I thought I was heading some kind of fugue state, and it really paid off for you. So I'm wondering, how did those pieces come together for that technique?
Because I knew how high the experience was, I kind of thought about it. I'd actually considered bringing a black belt, but with the forced party members, that would have been crazy. But it was once I had a way of AoE clearing, so I had the Fade thing, and in case I got hurt with the Cure 4, that was when I was like, what if I just solo this with the fighter? Because, yeah, I could have run into something bad, but I don't think it would have been that big of a time loss. If there had been something with Death Touch or Stone Touch, which is basically the only thing I was afraid of at that point, or maybe some massive great ambush. And I knew that if it did work, he was ready for endgame. He would be able to tank at least 1 nuke, maybe 2. But it was having that AoE clear plus the way to heal myself in case something went wrong without having to sit there and use 50 billion heal potions.
And yeah, I mean, it paid off in dividends. I don't think you saw anything nasty out of any of those fiends. You didn't even give them time to say hello really before most of them were already on the floor behind you.
To be fair, Kraken 2 might have something terrible. I have no idea because I got the 8 and 256 break on him. So Kraken could actually be completely awful. We have no idea. But it wouldn't be me if I weren't trying to constantly go for insta-kills, so...
Yeah, I did say I think Breck on a stick as well was just that was just the cherry on top of the seed.
That made me really happy. I love Break, which not a surprise to anyone ever. It is my favorite spell, and being able to spam it at will. I mean, the Thief doesn't have anything better to do, so might as well throw it out, and against Kraken 2 was a free kill.
So, as far as endgame equipment goes, you picked up gold bracelets for your entire party. When you haven't found a good armor piece for the knight, do you prefer the gold bracelet or the steel armor?
Normally, I would have gotten steel armor, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I couldn't remember where it was, and I knew where gold bracelets were, so I probably should have grabbed the steel armor, but I was like, that's somewhere. Now that I think about it, I want to say it was like Crescent or something, but I was already in Melman and already remembered I had the gold bracelets right there, so it's worse, but nah. At that point, with the 700 or so HP I had, I wasn't as worried about it. If I had been a lot lower level and hadn't just gotten all of that experience from Mirage, I probably would have considered at least checking like key chests for armor, but I didn't feel like I needed to with that much HP.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the knight having over 700 HP, the difference between the two is probably negligible.
I just didn't feel like after that point, just kind of like, if I'm taking, 100 damage versus 70 damage, still not that much HP, and I have an infinite use of Cure 4, so I'll just heal it up. That's fine.
Demon Frog finding the third ribbon in the game, so all of them are accounted for now.
I don't know. I feel like this seed has a lot more to account for than just 3 ribbons, personally.
I mean, other than the toxic creeps, was there any enemy split that you thought gave you the business during the seed?
Not that I can really. There's not. I guess lobsters were kind of annoying, but that's sort of lobster's default state. That's like saying that the sun is hot. Nobody is surprised or impressed by it. But other than that, I can't think of anything that was particularly scary. I guess mummies before you got ribbons, and then waters were kind of jerks. But again, they're waters. What they do. There's nothing that was like surprise terrible other than mummies and creeps.
Split Punched, you mentioned, having a ribbon to feel secure. I think you managed to track down a ribbon somewhere around the 40-45 minute mark. I think the next person, at least on the stream right now, who found a ribbon, I think was Files, at around the hour 20 minute mark. So everyone was living in fear of mummies and several other things for an exorbitant amount of time in this seed.
Yikes, because yeah, that's part of why I went to sea instead of Waterfall, like I said, because I did not want to play with those mummies one bit, and I guess that worked out, so.
Sure, you wanted to see what their upgrades could do, the Whiz Mummies.
I don't remember the Whiz Mummies having anything particularly scary, though. Just regular mummies.
And we've got second place finisher, Elastoid finishing in second place with a time of 1:42:33.
GG.
As far as the rest of the field, looks like Fuchsia is on the water floor right now, and everyone else is still finishing up orb collection.
Demon Frog is making the long trek across the Bridge of Destiny, so chat, we haven't seen a War Mech yet if you want to go ahead and get those Bless RNGs out.
And Files is going to pick up his tail. Not there, there's no chest.
Rumblefish appears to be having a pretty rough go with Kraken 1 here. I think he's been on this encounter for a bit. Not access to any high damage spells. I didn't see Brack in that inventory list, and boy, Kraken wallops the fighter for 300 points of damage.
And I couldn't really tell what sword that Rumblefish is using. Is that the Coral Sword? It feels kind of bad.
It looks like he hasn't seen the mermaids yet, because the mermaids had Massa, so he is... Oh, that fighter is looking directly down on the ground.
Oh, he has 14 hits. Okay. Yikes. Bane strats.
Wait. Did Rumblefish not buy break on his Black Mage?
Looks like he picked up Confuse instead.
Oh. I mean, to be fair, I'm not unbiased in my love of break, but there's a pretty big accuracy gap between Zap and break.
Alright, we've got a couple of sandworms for Demon Frog, so he's going to appreciate the experience he gets out of this. And Files is going to Lefane, so he will... he will fight the unrunnable Zombies first.
And Rumblefish gets the old Cthulhu kiss there from Kraken and sends him back to outside Onrak. And boy, you're just kind of left to ponder your life decisions at this point.
Oof. And he's gonna feel real bad if he goes right side now.
Looks like Files has got his slab translated, excuse me, and gonna go talk to those Lufanians and grab a chime and most likely do a similar charge through Mirage Tower that we saw Split Punched execute.
So at 146 in, Files is probably cursing Minochi's name under his breath, but there's his chime, and now he can finish off the last dungeon he needs.
It looks like Rumblefish is deciding to check some of these chests right above mermaids, so if he's fortunate, he'll go ahead and find the floater, and then go down, and then find the mass moon. So that'll be a really pleasant 1-2 split punch to kind of cap the seed off with for Rumblefish.
It's like Demon Frog's gonna go class change right now, and he has 3 orbs as well. So he is in pretty good shape, and doesn't look like Files is gonna bother to class change, so a little bit of he's going to gain a little bit of a time advantage on Demon Frog here, but remains to be seen whether that pays off or not. Having the superior equipment on Demon Frog's side may be preferable.
In Files' position here, if you've got the Excal and the Mass Moon, I don't know, you've also got a good armor set. I'd consider doing the class change. That way you've got 2 potential sword swingers that can do an absurd amount of damage, and it'll make clearing some of those high experience trash mobs up in Sky Tower a bit more feasible.
Yeah, sometimes, especially if I have the Mazmune, I will make the decision on whether the class change just on the equipment that I have in my inventory. If I have a lot of class-locked equipment, then I can class change and not have to bother going to a shop and picking up 4 gold bracelets or steel armor and whatever is available for the other classes.
And it looks like Rumblefish has gone down to see the mermaids, so he'll be picking up that Mass Moon shortly, and then probably head right back to Kraken and pay the Fiend a visit. Demon Frog is going to go ahead and pick up Cure 4 and Life 2 on his night. It looks like kind of a similar priority order as Split Punched here, taking care of those after doing the Mirage Tower. I mean, that's a bit of risk that you incur. It's always nice to have another Life 2 caster, but it looks like it paid off, so it's hard to play Monday morning quarterback with that play.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to route those spell pickups in when they're most convenient to save time. But it certainly is safer to go back and pick up Life 2 before diving deeper into a dungeon. But if you have one, or in Split's case, 2 mages that already know, you're in pretty good shape.
Files about to enter the Bridge of Destiny here. Still no Warmex so far. I'm a little saddened by that. Let's see if Files can brighten up our day and Files can get a little bit more salt thrown on that Minochi fire.
And looks like Fuchsia is forfeit. Didn't quite catch what got them on the Chaos fight.
Looks like Rumblefish has encountered, oh my goodness, is that Death Touch on Sea Snakes? Because I saw that fighter go from 382 to 0 pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sea Snakes don't crit, so yeah, that had to be Death Touch, and wow, that's an absolute nightmare.
Oh, and had he not saved? Oh, so he has to go all the way back down, get the floater again, get the Mass Moon again. It was a Bane Snake, Minochi is telling us in chat. That's also terrible to get a full party Bane wipe almost 2 hours in. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's horrifying considering that we know where the ribbons are, and you have to go through Sea Shrine to get them.
I really hope that Rumblefish has like a nice book that he can read after this, or maybe an extra slice of pizza in the fridge just to kind of reheat and kind of take all those Bane troubles away. Files entering Temple of Fiends Revisited right after this bat gets out of the way at just shy of 153. Similar equipment setup to Split Punched, 2 ribbons, Mass Moon. I don't believe Files did the one-man legend grind for the knight, so a little bit lower levels, and no class change also. So we'll see how well this dive works for Files. Meanwhile, Demon Frog is just about ready to pull Lich, and that'll be the 4th orb once Lich is extinguished, which I imagine will be done with extreme prejudice here quite shortly. And then we'll have 2 runners, excuse me, in Temple of Fiends Revisited, while Rumblefish recuperates his losses here and commiserates with these mermaids.
Just keeping an eye out on the other racers. We have 2 currently on the chaos floor right now. And Demon Frog taking out Lich. So looks like everybody is now quickly piling into Temple of Fiends at around the I would say 145 to 155 mark.
And that's a pretty respectable time for these seeds. I know we discussed that there weren't a lot of enemies that were particularly trolly, but between the lack of resources for good black magic, just pretty poor item distribution, and a relatively troll-placed floater, I think these are excellent times that these runners are pulling down for the seed. I can't imagine anyone doing better than Split Punched, and the pack pulling up behind him is certainly hot on his heels.
And in 3rd place is Girl Drink Drunk with a time of 154.54.
Wow. So that's, I believe both Girl Drink Drunk and Elastoid or Cirque are both members of the new wave of Final Fantasy Randomizer runners, placing 2nd and 3rd here up against the cream of the crop, the elite guard here of the community. They should be feeling pretty great right about now.
And right behind is Tarnan in 4th place with a time of 155.32.
Tarnan, what a beast. I could not believe, what was it, this last Sunday when Tarnan participated in the new player race and then immediately jumped into a co-op race right afterwards. If that doesn't just confuzzle you all over the place, I don't know what will.
Well, let's not forget joining into the bonus stream yesterday and finishing 3rd. Lots of impressive finishes from Tarnan recently.
Files takes down Carry 2 as retribution for the Black Mage kissing pavement. And it looks like Rumblefish has managed to recuperate his losses and is steaming towards Kraken 1 right now.
Well, having gone right side certainly has the equipment to do it. Just needs to dodge some more AoE snakes, and might be the first time he's ever looked forward to a 6-pack of lobsters.
I didn't see if Rumblefish picked up that ribbon in the Sharknado room. Maybe feeling like you're a bit behind the gun, you're just wanting to get caught up. I'm really hoping that he didn't miss it.
He still will be in okay shape as long as he checks Cardia Islands. Usually my policy is at least one ribbon. One ribbon, especially on a knight that knows Life 2, can forgive a lot of mistakes.
Wow, and Kraken immediately stuns Rumblefish's fighter that has the Mass Moon. That's just a huge hindrance on the damage output of that party. Rumblefish just cannot catch a break right now.
Yeah, he does have Cure 4 if he wants to pick the knight up, but just choosing to go all-out offense instead.
Now, Edge, do you know if the Cure 4 also removes the attack halved debuff, or if it just removes the stun condition?
With respect to getting paralyzed, I think it removes. I think it removes the attack half.
Files, it looks like, manages to take down Carry 2. Didn't see anything too terrible out of Carry 2, so it looks like Split Punch didn't deny me that much earlier with the early Brack strats.
Yeah, I think as far as status goes, it won't take off slow. It won't take off death or petrification, but you know, all the other common status effects it'll heal up. Paralysis being the biggest use of it.
Sure.
And just checking on the off-stream runners here, it looks like MBI decided to feed the Vorpal to the room of bats in Earth Cave.
I know those bats are probably hungry, but you think that hardened tempered steel is going to be the best thing to whet their appetites?
I hope so. I fed them the katana last night.
I think a lot of creatures were fed by your pretty prodigious littering of swords throughout the entire Final Fantasy I universe.
Just it was the worst case of Butterfingers I've ever had in my entire life.
You did seem crestfallen when it was happening. Files looks like is about to pull Chaos here and hopefully rack up a 4th place finish here. Oh, it looks like Wilcliosis doesn't know about the carnage that happened in last night's seed, so maybe he'll go and watch the VOD and we'll hear about it on some later stream. That Thief being strongly encouraged to take a nap pretty immediately by Chaos, followed by the Black Mage. Boy, this Chaos seems a little bit more aggressive than the one that Split Punch encountered.
Yeah, and this is when you having one charge of Gear 4 is going to pay off huge.
Wow, and that is a lot of damage. I believe the previous swing was for over 700, so this Chaos probably not long for the world.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Thanks, Files. So that is, I believe, what got Fuchsia getting in at a lower level than Files did, and just a terrifyingly high attack stat on Chaos, and he just went in punching. So Files finishing in 5th place with time just over 2 hours.
And a pretty clutch finish there too. That knight, or excuse me, the fighter down on one knee, and Chaos just goes for the back-to-back ink strats just to kind of rub it in, and pays the ultimate price in the process.
It's one of those fights where the party positioning was highly significant. That knight easily could have gone down if left in the 1st or 2nd slot.
Absolutely, and I think Files even managed to pick up the dragon armor that was in Corneria Castle, if I'm not mistaken. So defense-wise, a lot better prepared than Split Punch was, but barely survived that one strike, or however many strikes that was from Chaos in one round.
Yeah, that's the scary part about Chaos. He does have quite a bit in the way of attack, but just if he rolls multiple hits, that's the scariest part. Normally, I think he has 2 hits with 100 attack power behind both of them, but with 4, that's a lot of damage, no matter how much armor you have.
Demon Frog, close on Files' heels, manages to take down Kraken 2. Again, it looks like we saw a few tentacles fly out and smack down a hat, but again, nothing too concerning. You know, we haven't really seen your nukes or swirls or nuclears or infernos. You think those all just ended up on Warmech, or maybe just higher up on the chain for, you know, carries and Lich 2s, which is why we didn't see them?
Yeah, I think they're buried behind some of the other fiends. MBI fought a Warmech and didn't seem to have too much trouble with it.
Rumblefish getting blocked by the trifecta of dwarves there, and you know, kind of turns a cold shoulder to the Hooray Dwarf, which I think Demon Frog talked to 3 times earlier. So, you know, seed triple validated? I'm not sure.
And we're joined by Files right now. GG Files.
Thanks. So, incentive Marsh is a thing I probably should have read the flags more carefully about.
Oh no, yeah, that's a rough one to find out. Incentive, 2 incentive items in Marsh this time.
Yeah, if I had, I mean, I had Warp, it would have been so easy to duck down in there. Like, I last placed in the game Marsh because I just straight up did not know that you could incentivize Marsh. I just haven't been up on the new flags, so I guess that's my own fault. But yeah, I would have saved myself probably, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes easily. No one was catching the split punch, though. That guy's a machine.
Yeah, the aggressive play to do Sea Shrine, ordeals into Sea Shrine, and then solo his knight through Sky definitely paid off huge for him.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, yeah. If you the craziness to get the canal aside, I mean, that's not too crazy. It was the early ordeals going straight to Sea Shrine was definitely the play of the seed. I spent a lot of time in the overworld, inefficiently routing with a boat, and then I also got lost in the overworld for a solid 2 minutes. That was a good time. I need to run this game with a map open.
You know, there's a magic spell that you can cast in order to view the map. I'm not sure if you're aware, Files.
Yeah, you have to airship at E bleu, or whatever B select is backwards.
Is that Lufinish?
Lupa? But yeah, otherwise it was a pretty fun seed. It would have been nice to have that Fade Staff early. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, temper castable by somebody that isn't a black mage, so you can double layer it and attack with a guy on the same turn. I mean, that's just incredible.
Oh, Demon Frog is in some trouble on this Chaos fight. Hits the Knight for 585, and immediately out comes the Brack, because it's time for Hail Marys.
Oh
Yeah,
no. Yeah, Chaos was
going...
a beast.
Yeah, especially because there was not easily available evasion options.
Yeah, I kind of YOLO'd the fight, and I started getting worried, but the Knight was able to take one hit, and with Cure 4 castable, it was kind of all you needed to hold on to dear life.
Yeah, Chaos one-shotting the Red Mage, so whole day territory at this point.
That's a Quad X. I don't think we'd seen that spell out of Chaos quite yet. Maybe you had Edge in an off-stream, but I think that's the first live in-action use of that we've seen, so pretty deep into the spell chart here for Chaos.
Yeah, Thief manages to take a hit, throws out a Lit too, so there's the nuke right at the end.
Oof.
Was anyone watching Fuchsia Fantasy? Did he get Chaos wrecked?
Yeah, so Chaos let off with Zap and killed the Red Mage before any buffs could land. It was just horrible turn order.
Ugh. RNG will do that sometimes.
Yeah, it looked like he only found one ribbon and just kind of tried to truck it to the end. So level 20 across the board. Looks like level 20-ish across the board, and just a chaos that was, I don't know, it was training with Mike Tyson or something.
I thought really hard for like 10 seconds for a follow-up to that, and I feel like I let you down, Edge. I'm sorry. I'm gonna write you a card that says I didn't forget, and put hearts on it, and mail it to you.
You're gonna forget to mail it to me.
Forget what? Oh crap! It already happened.
Confused old men.
But yeah, it was definitely a fun seed. I just wish I had remembered Marsh was incentivized earlier, but other than that, pretty straightforward for routing. Nothing too crazy. A nice solid chaos fight at the end. It was just a good seed.
Yeah, Files, I was kind of wondering what was going through your brain. You're playing the seed perfect. There were, no big errors of judgment or anything like that. It was just, you go down Route A and ended up Route B was the right way. Are you second guessing yourself at a certain point, wondering if you missed a chest, or were you fairly confident that you knew where you were going, you just weren't happy about it?
It was the latter. Literally the only thing I skipped was the chest north of the key lock chest and the sea shrine. So I was like, all right, if something's there, then I just lose. But I was just really digging for that slab or the chime, and I just couldn't find it. And I felt like I routed somewhat solidly. Like I made the decision early to not do ordeals right away, and that was the bad route. But I knew I would find it eventually. The further the game went on, I was like, well, I guess it was in Marsh Cave, and then I loaded up the flags once I found the item, and I was like, oh, I guess this is an incentivized chest now. Whoops.
Yeah,
outside of that, it was pretty, I just kind of had to just keep chugging along, I guess.
Yeah, I was surprised. No earlier deals from you.
Yeah, once I got that boat, I was like, all right, it was ordeals or ice cave and volcano was the choice I had, and I went against my inner instinct and all of my feelings and what my heart was telling me, and I went not ordeals. And that's you pay for it. That's what happens when you deny your true self, Edge.
You even, if I remember Files, you found that there was a Pete encounter pretty early on in the encounter table, so you were able to pile up levels pretty quickly. And did you make the ice play after that, if I'm remembering correctly, instead of ordeals?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the levels. It might have taken me a little longer than I probably should have to actually drop them, but once I did, I was like, all right, I'm level 11 and 12 on my White Mage and Fighter, and I've got Harm 4. I'm like, let's go to Ice Cave.
Yeah, we all bore witness to your strategy of slamming beverages down your fighter's throat while you swing your short sword to try and vanquish the last Pete. It was endlessly amusing.
And the worst part was, I got done with that fight, and I went into the weapon shop. I bought a longsword, and then went to equip it and realized I had a silver axe or something in my inventory the entire time. I was not happy.
That's why you should always axe around for a better weapon.
Oh, well done, sir. A+. I guess this commentary really hatched it. All right, see, this is why I don't do it anymore. Pun fail.
Demon Frog, it looks like back on carry 2. I didn't see any grind or anything. I think you probably just feel pretty bummed when Chaos decides to slam everything into your fighter or knight and just dive right back in again. How do you feel about that, Edge?
I think this is the right decision to just go straight back down. Maybe the only difference I can see is moving the Mazmune onto the Knight and just, putting all of your eggs in one basket. It's a little scary when he can hit for that much damage, but I think just you're not doing appreciable damage on the Thief. You might as well just throw the Katana or Vorpal on and hope that they can get some, 90 to 100 crit damage while the Knight does the heavy lifting.
Is that you strongly recommending the use of the Katana or Vorpal there, Edge, if I'm understanding you correctly?
I'm strongly recommending the use of the Katana. There's 2 of them. The Vorpal, not so much. The hit rate is definitely less and the damage is less.
And I feel like I need to be specific and say he's recommending use of the Katana and or Vorpal after the Mazmune is on somebody who could swing it the best.
I think we all heard what we wanted to. I think everybody wins there.
I guess that's fair.
I don't know what the Vorpal you guys are talking about.
Again, the Vorpal does have its uses. It's one of the it's a nice fallback weapon if you're running the 2 night strats. Just because you can focus all of the buffs on one night, and with a single fast, the other night is going to do anywhere in the neighborhood of like 100 to 200 damage a shot, which is kind of like just throwing fades into the boss. So
You're just kind of fishing for crits at that point.
yeah, and with the high crit rate, if you get one, it's good enough to justify the amount of effort that you've put into keeping that night alive.
Well, and arguably a seed like this with repeatable castable tempered staff and temper low level. I mean, if there was ever a seed that was going to favor Vorpal enthusiasts, it would be this one, because you can immediately layer those spells and still take advantage of that high crit rate on the Vorpal, like if that's your bag. And I'm sorry, Ron Ulysses, I totally stepped over you when you were asking me something.
No, you're making a great point. I was just going to shift topics slightly. The party that you took was a bit anomalous. I think you were the only one out of 4 featured runners to bring along a white mage and a black mage. And I was curious, with item magic shuffle, is that a common tactic that you like to use, or did you have some other type of 4-dimensional chess in choosing to bring along the white mage and the black mage instead of a red mage or 2 red mages?
If I had, well, let me think. I don't play enough with item magic shuffle for that to really include in my calculus. I think what I was thinking was I really don't. I'm kind of rusty at this game, so I would rather kind of slow and steady and be safe. So I did not want to be locked out of life in case tail was going to be somewhere awful. So I really wanted that white mage just to kind of slow and steady it and not. I wanted to get to Temple of Fiends and, barring any insanity, not have to be out of life spells or anything like that.
Alright, round 2 for Demon Frog versus Chaos. Let's see if he has a little bit better luck.
Well, I will go and cheer from the sidelines, gentlemen. That will be it for me, but thanks for commentating, and GG to Split Push. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks
GG,
for stopping
Files.
by, Files. GG.
So it looks like Demon putting Mazmune back on the fighter for this fight. I think I agree with this play. The Excalibur, I'm a big fan, but it just doesn't do enough against Chaos. You really feel hampered by it more than anything.
Yeah, the biggest drawback is that it has half of the crit rate that the Mazmune has, and that is pretty significant. The lead of Demon Frog getting the lead off zap, and that's gonna cost a little bit in the way of temper charges. So this is a difficult decision. Do you keep layering the tempers on, or what do you do in this case?
Oh boy, and Chaos just going to town on Demon Frog again.
Yeah, with the low evasion, this is such a difficult fight.
And was Demon Frog splitting the tempers between the knight and the ninja?
Looks like that was the case, and yeah, Demon Frog has to hope for the spell and the skill list to come out. I don't think he can eat more than one hit.
Wow, he is prophetic with that Cure 4 item, though.
I think he just feels like he cannot afford to have less than max health versus his Chaos.
So you should remember it's going to be 2 inks in a row, I believe. Oh, there it is, terminated. Demon Frog. Round 2. It's a redemption story. GG.
Yeah, just in the course of diving Topher again, he snuck back MBI, who is also on the Chaos fight right now. So definitely the knowledge of what was in Topher helping him navigate through that dungeon a lot quicker than MBI. And MBI just finishing, Demon Frog finishing with a time of 2:17:02, MBI finishing with a time of 2:17:34. So let's see if we can get Demon Frog in here for an interview. In the meantime, Rumblefish has 3 orbs lit and is going to Canaria to stock up on supplies.
And hopefully he'll go up and check that those few chests that are located in Corneria. The dragon armor is located there. I know Split Punch didn't require it, but boy, looking at just with the sliver of hit points that Files as a Knight was able to survive that blast from Chaos. Oh no, Files hadn't even used his tail, so didn't even have that demon armor that he'd picked up. So maybe using something far inferior in that case anyway.
I think he might have found either an ice or a flame armor, but yeah, this is definitely a seed where promoting seemed like the right move, allowing the thief is not going to do nearly as much as the ninja is in the fiend fights.
Yeah, I mean, just having that ninja, he, with a little bit better equipment to maybe absorb 2 hits instead of 1, or resist a certain type of magic, get 1 or 2 more temper charges off on gold in this case, I think just goes a long way. So it's a small upfront payment of time, but can really benefit in the long run.
And we're joined by Demon Frog right now. GG.
Thank you. Hello, hello.
Hello. So
Demon. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Edge.
No, go ahead.
So Demon, we all bore witness to that first Chaos fight. What was running through your mind when Chaos just decided to reach out and slam everything he had into your fighter?
Well, I mean, I was hoping the ninja could carry the day. Not quite. I knew that it was kind of dangerous without defense or without invis too. And yeah, I mean, I feel I had the damage output. That's why I went right back in. But kind of unfortunate that you went as low as you did and took the fighter out right after I finished buffing.
Yeah, you mentioned not being able to have access to Fog 2 or Invisibility 2. How early on were you thinking about those spells and trying to, adapt for different strategies when you found out that they weren't accessible to you?
I mean, I started taking more and more fights as it looked like it wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I took a couple on both of my Topher dives. I took a couple fights, gas dragons and green medusas and the double gur sharks. Try and get those last few levels a little bit more MDef, a little more hit points to just make it through. I felt pretty confident between the 2 ribbons and the Cure 4 shirt. I honestly waffled. I almost didn't go get the tail because by process of elimination, I knew it had to be the Keylog Marsh incentive. But with Massa, I almost just said, nah, just go and do it.
So did you ultimately make the decision just because you had the equipment, or you were looking to get Life 2 on your knight, or what was the ultimate decider in that course of action?
It wasn't so much the magic because I was pretty much done doing what I was going to do. I wasn't going to get the levels to get the magic, but I knew I had the gear to get the thief. Once promoted, I had katana and ice armor and all that good stuff. So I figured it was only like a 3 to 5 minutes total to go grab it real quick and promote and kit him out so he could take a few more hits and maybe put out a little more damage.
Yeah, I think that's a solid strategy. It's unfortunate that Chaos had plans otherwise, but you got some redemption in the second round there. Just like Rocky, a little bit more information, let you take on Apollo Creed.
Yeah, actually, I mean, part of the first one not going so well, I actually miscounted my fast charges. I wanted to have 2 going into Chaos, or 3 going into Tiamat, 1 for Tiamat and 2 for Chaos. I got the Chaos with only 1, so I could only do it on the night, and sure as heck, he go ahead and took out my knight.
Now, there were a lot of options available once the canal was discovered as the open progression item. Where was it that you went first? Did you do Ice Cave or Ordeals or Volcano?
I'm trying to remember. I think I dipped. I did Ice pretty early. I know I did top floor Volcano just for some spending money because I was a little light going in early. And like you said, with it being so open, once you have canoe, canal, ship, I started. I definitely did not play the numbers and go to the high density places. I figured, there's 12 people. I'm going to go to Onrak and I'm going to go to the bazaar. And see if the vendor items there, and maybe if if the vendor items there and people would put off going to that neck of the woods, that would give me an advantage. Am I
Sure.
going crazy, or was there 2 bottles in the shops?
I don't know, Edge. I don't even think I saw 1 bottle.
No, I think it was just the one. Although, that's an interesting thing that I don't know the answer to. If you with the boost per key item, if you buy another version of the incentive item after you've turned the first one in, does it still count?
As I understand it, once you have an item, even if it's consumed, it still counts for you. So ruby and bottle and all that junk. You still have the key item for the terms of the progressive scaling.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting confirmation from Shadow Walker and Elastoid and Spider MBI that there were bottles in both Onrak and Gaia. So just kind of poses that question, if a bottle opens and the fairy's already there, does it make a sound? I guess it does.
Yeah, because I popped up to, like I said, I popped up in that area looking for the vendor item. It wasn't the vendor item I wanted. It was, all right, well, I'll grab the bottle. Went to Gaia, went to stock up on Heal Potion, said, there's another bottle. Okay. I didn't know that it could do that. No, yeah, definitely not like by the numbers run. Like I just, once the world opened up, I decided to not go to the chest dense places or the places people would normally go. I kind of went almost reverse and did kind of the silly places, hoping for that off chance of progression being in the last place people would normally go.
I think Edge and I discussed this a little bit. This wasn't really a trolley seed in terms of enemy encounters. I think the creeps with poison early on was pretty rough for some people, a minor stumbling block. But just where the items and key items were located, Floater being in a loose chest in Sea Shrine is it's really hard to account for that planning in your routing.
Yeah, you can blame Minochi for that. He said, oh man, yeah, I counted the key items and I counted the incentive locations. Should be good to go.
Rumblefish. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's fun when a seed doesn't kind of follow what you expect it to be. Like a lot of the Swiss stages was the same progression. You were going through the same motions, and this one definitely made you, once you got the ship, the canal, and the canoe, the entire world is open minus Lafine and Gaia. So it's kind of like, all right, you just pick a direction and go, and make your plan and stick to it.
Sure. Speaking of defying expectations, just a reminder to everyone, we've got a challenge seed up in this week's Final Fantasy I Randomizer Discord, and it's got a special surprise in it. So everyone is encouraged to go and run that challenge seed, experience horror, terror, fascination, charm, love, all the feelings. I haven't done it yet. I hear it's fantastic. So
I started it. I had to table about halfway through. It's a really fun feature, I will say that.
And Rumblefish here, entering Temple of Fiends Revisited sometime around the 225 mark. And Rumblefish, kind of similar to you, Demon Frog, had, playing the odds in this seed was so difficult, and so we saw so many runners go towards high-density chest areas that just kept turning up nothing, or incentivized locations that just had, well, not garbage, but not anything that would yield immediate progression. So it's not surprising that we see a group of, veteran runners all like yourself have a huge spread of time just because the, key item locations are just spread all over the place.
Yeah, when it's like this, it's the time isn't necessarily showing the best execution. It's, whoever went to Sea Shrine earliest got the floater, had a massive advantage over anyone else that was going, shipping around the world and having to deal with encounters. Creepies not having to fight them. They weren't nasty, but you had to fight them or you had to save scum.
Yeah, we saw a bit of all those tactics being used. Everyone here clearly is well aware of what they're doing, and we saw good plays all around. It's just, sometimes you go down path A and it looks like path B was the right one, and it's hard to second guess yourself for that. You can just kind of go back, look at the VOD, and say, all right, well, maybe next time.
Yeah, I want to say I can't remember. I have to go back and look because I played their challenge earlier today, so I might be getting them mixed up. But I think I had the Oxyale when I made the initial check for the vendors, but I did not feel confident enough because I definitely was avoiding with the progressive scaling. I always try to scoot as low as I can until I can get that, maybe 8 to 10 key items. Then I really start trying to take the fights. But
Sure.
when I was first up in that neck of the woods, I was like, there's no way I'm going to start. That was the other thing is you had Zap, Ice 3, Harm 4, which, I mean, isn't bad, but isn't great either. White Magic, Life 2, Cure 4 was amazing.
Yeah, and you brought along some, was it a red mage and a black mage, or was it 2 red mages?
I did double red.
Okay, so yeah, you had a good distribution of healthy magic choices at early level, even if you didn't get the ideal nuke fade early on. A good combination of life and cure, some instant death, and the Ice 3 to handle pretty much anything outside of undead and underwater. And even though there was a Fade Staff or Fade Gauntlet, I believe, in the seed, didn't arrive until very late. I think all the other item magic up to that point were Ruse Helms and Lit Shirts, and just a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, I would have killed for a Ruse Helm. What was that?
Edge, I don't remember where the Ruse Helm was located. Do you remember?
I think it was a dark helmet, wasn't it?
Oh, was it a dark helmet? I thought I saw Ruse something. Fear 4 Helm, yeah. Fear Helm, definitely both of those. The Temper Staff, we saw that used to great effect. No Ruse Helm. All right, I guess I just in a fugue state, everyone. I apologize.
Yeah, the Ruse was for sale, but it was in the level 4 White Magic, so unfortunately not available for the night either.
Yeah, it's like a level 4, so close and yet so far away. No, but yeah, the Cure 4 shirt was nice to have, especially when I knew Chaos hit as hard. I knew that at the mid 500s I was more than likely able to survive a hit from Chaos. So I had to play really defensive with the Cure 4 shirt. The Temper Stick was great. The Brack Axe wasn't bad.
Yeah, you had a pretty clutch usage of that Cure 4 item against the Chaos fight. I think you walloped your fighter for something like 300 damage, but you'd already queued up the Cure 4 shirt and were brought right back up.
Oh yeah, I knew if I took anything more than 20 to 50 damage, I didn't care. I was going to use that Cure 4 shirt and try to keep topped up, and then hope for, because I knew he had a nuclear coming. That's what ended up my first run. So I knew I had to stay nice and high. So yeah, I wasn't going under 500 hit points.
Looks like Rumblefish82 managed to make his way down to the water floor. See any real problems with Lich 2 or Carry 2? Pretty good levels, it looks like. 26 or 25, it looks like, on the fighter. Never found the tail, but he does have the Mass Moon and at least one ribbon. Between all those, can probably cobble together a party strong enough for victory.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
You found, I think, 2 ribbons. You had the Mass Moon, and you did go for the class change. If you hadn't found that tail, would you have felt comfortable going down into Topher, or were you pretty relieved to find it?
I mean, process of elimination, I was almost certain had to be there. If it didn't, I was already kind of on the fence of, do I take the time to class change or not? So if the tail wasn't in that incentive in Marsh, it was just going, all right, well, I got the Macedon, so I at least have an endgame weapon that's usable, so let's do this.
Oh boy, 10 hits on that Black Mage. Rumblefish getting roughed up a bit by Kraken.
And the Red Mage won't have access to Fast either, but it doesn't matter. Kraken is down.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm glad I thought to go back. Crescent Lake had the Red Wizard smorgasbord of Fade, Fast, and Heal 3.
level 6, an embarrassment of riches. I think fast was on the black magic side, so definitely important to get some levels on the mages for those must-have.
Yeah, and all three, yeah, like fast, heal 3, and fade were all level 6. You couldn't get them unpromoted red mage. You needed, but they all were red wizard learnable. So that was one of the other things with the tail was that would get me fast and fade and all that junk on that level 6. So that's kind of what swung me towards going for it.
Oh, Antlers on the Chaos fight, but his knight gets zapped and back to start. So Rumblefish now between the two remaining runners in here.
Yeah, hindsight what it is, I kind of wish I damned the thief. I did want to try to keep him up, but with tail coming so late, it just... Yeah,
it's a bit of a difficult decision if you enjoy having the full party. I think getting rid of the thief, during some of the areas where you tend to gain the most levels and take the most fights, like Sky and Sky Sea, probably would be the best move. But at the same time, if there's good black magic available, it's just something that you have to play by ear, and it's kind of a little tricky to figure that out on the fly sometimes.
yeah, that's one thing. Oh yeah, almost. I'll let you listen to something in Chaos Fight.
Rumblefish just has a real tough hand dealt to him. Gets his red mage and black mage hit by that zap, and I think he maybe gets one temper cast off on the fighter and no fast before they both go down. And that fighter is dealing, I don't know, anywhere between 75 and 150 a hit, and Chaos is just smashing through everything in the meantime. I don't think this looks good for Rumblefish.
The crits, he did get a crit in for, I think, about 500, and there's the nuke from Chaos, so he's got a... Oh no, he's just holding A and hoping.
Wow. The hope is real, though, as Rumblefish manages to take down
Nice.
Chaos while Gold is just huffing on his knees and recovering. GG Rumblefish.
Yeah, Rumble is a heck of a runner, man. He will not take no for an answer. He will sit there and bash his head against Chaos as long as it takes.
Yeah, there's no quitting that guy, and yeah, that was by the thinnest of margins that he beat Chaos, but holding A to win was the right move there. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview.
Yeah, and when Chaos is down, it doesn't really matter how many Light Warriors are left standing. 4 looks a lot like 1 to me.
And
Hey there, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome.
GG.
GG.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm next to last place, but I managed to get it done. That was a tough seed.
Yeah, lots of rough item placements, and Chaos taking boxing lessons too.
Yeah, I mean, I barely got out of the chaos fight. I mean, I thought I had just down to my fighter and who had like 160 hit points left over. So I just had the mass moon on him and kept plugging away. I had one temper on him. I got one temper off before he cast Zap to start and zapped both my mages. So that was my only way of getting him buffed up, and but it carried through at the end of the day. And I ended up going without a class change too, so that made things a little bit more difficult for me.
Yeah, between the Zap on Chaos and the Bane on the Sea Snakes, I think you probably had your fill of party-wide instant death spells for the evening.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty, and I had some nasty wipes throughout the whole evening. I mean, I wiped through Kraken 1, which sucked. Wiped the Zombie Dragons, which sucks, and I had, I think, 2 wipes in Ice Cave. So there was a lot. This was not a very good play on my half, but I am happy that I managed to pull through and get it done.
So, other than that the chaos, were there any monsters that gave you a hard time that you can remember?
Well, I thought that TOFR actually was a breeze. Now that I think about it, I mean, I was able to um, get through the gatekeepers, Krigan 2 and Tiamat 2, and all four of the fiends pretty easily. Um, it was, let's see, I seem to remember well, it was the mummies. They had Blizzard, and so that gave me a couple of wipes. I think I accounted for two of my wipes in the ice cave, and but and then the zombie dragons were pretty tough too. But I went there early on, like it was like my earlier dungeons, and so I just didn't really have the the levels or the skills to handle them. So I thought it was gonna be they're sometimes an easy fight. And then I wasn't expecting them to be quite so hard. I mean, they had a lot of attacks on them. Still with me?
Yep, still here. So looks like we're about ready to wrap up the stream for the evening. Any final thoughts before we go?
Well, that was it. I like this, even though like I like that seat. It was really different. I mean, it's not every day that you get the floater in the sea shrine and the chest, not quite in the mermaids with the mermaids, but sort of near there. So I think it kind of changed things up a bit. The fact that you had a free bridge means you didn't have to take on Garland right at the start. So I mean, it was a good change, I thought.
Yeah, Rumblefish, I thought you played well. We were watching the whole game. I think you're a bit hard on yourself. There were some weird chess placements here, but I liked all the plays you made. There's not much you can do when sea snakes just decide to throw bane at you and you haven't found a ribbon after an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit out of your hands there.
Sea snakes with Bane, and the ghosts had Blaze too, so that made short of my part. So I had to do 2 trips to get the floater, which sucked. So, but um, I'm still satisfied with how it went down.
All right. Well, GG to you, Rumblefish. Thanks for stopping by. Any final thoughts from you, Rob?
No, it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I'd like to thank Randomania 2 for having us, everyone in the Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Discord. It's a fantastic community. They've been great. Edge, it's been a pleasure being with you in the booth, and a big shout out to Shadowwalker227 doing the tracking this whole time, popping up in the chat, ever present, ever there. Shadowwalker, I guess that's his tag. Just glad to be here, Edge.
Yeah, I'm glad that you could join me in the booth, and I look forward to working with you on commentary and maybe listening in on some in the future. And thanks to Minochi for doing the restream as well. If you are interested in Final Fantasy Randomizer, please join the Discord and throw a follow to our featured runners here tonight. And if you are interested in more randomizer action, stay tuned to this channel and the other channels in the Randomania